Got to go back to the good old days when, Conrad starts playing the piano, opening up the show and all of that. We really need to get back to
I got
basics,
a Christmas
guys.
tune. I got a Christmas tune for you.
All right. I got to stop playing my reggae. Reggae stuff. Here we go. It's the intro to Cruising with the Case Handler. You're being serenaded by Conrad Pollack. There you go.
What we got?
Nice.
Very, 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 very nice. It is what it is, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cruising with the Case Handler, a show on personal injury and immigration. And right now, I've got four attorneys that is ready, willing, and able to speak with you in those capacities, the personal injury and immigration. But right now, it's all about revving up everybody out there. Please, we ask you to start sharing, okay? Sharing what it is that you're watching. We're going to ask the attorneys also to, of course, the ones who have Facebook or know what it is, to start sharing, okay, on multiple platforms, okay? Just go down to the lower right-hand corner of the box and click share. If you're a member of groups and pages or you have timelines, or sharing your timelines and let others know that we're here to answer immigration questions. I'm going to ask the marketing team, Ali, Tracy, please start sharing for us, all right? We've got the attorneys here. They're ready to answer those immigration questions. We've got General Allenkaye, all right? One of the most, if not the most experienced immigration attorney, I would definitely say in this hemisphere, and probably the nation. We've got Conrad Pollack, the MP, the managing partner at Pollack, Isaac, and DeSico. We've got Nelson Madrid, one of the partners, a.k.a. the Maverick. We've got Adam Handler, the cocky, the confident, can be modest, he can be humble. But of course, in his work, it shows that he's very cocky. He goes for the juggler. He goes for the money when you get hurt in an accident, and rightfully so. As much as he modestly says that he doesn't want anyone to get into an accident, and we don't, but God forbid it does, when it does, because it's going to happen sooner or later to some people, he's right there for you. So ladies and gentlemen, let's jump right into it. Today is Wednesday, December the 16th, 201 episodes of Cruising with the Case Handler.
Yep, unbelievable. We hit 200 episodes this morning. We had such a great show that people were commenting and posting that they wanted us to provide them with some information this evening. Hopefully everybody watching right now is home, safe, kind of hunkering down. I guess it's the year of the hunkering down, but now we can at least do it for a reason that doesn't involve fear of life. So hopefully you're home with a loved one, or maybe you're just by yourself and watching social media right now. We are normally on 93.5 FM every morning at 9:30. Today, right now, we're just on Facebook. The numbers are climbing. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're here to answer all questions legal related today for free, of course, or just give us a call. We are Pollack, Isaac, DeSico. We're a full service law firm here in Manhattan. I am your boy. I am the case handler, Adam Handler, the shark, the beast, the hot stepper. And I do what I got to do, and that's making sure that you get the most money possible for your injuries. Let's give out that number a few times. But again, if you're watching this right now, you are on social media. So all you really need to do is click on the link to our firm, click on the link to the show, click on the link to Squeeze, click on the link to the case handler. You've done everything you need to do to be connected to our firm right now, and we thank you so very much. Again, Adam Handler, I am your boy. I got Nelson Madrid. We call him the Maverick. We got Conrad Pollack. We call him the Maestro. We got Allenkaye. We call him the General. And we are here to answer your questions. You got a legal question, we got a legal answer. You got a legal problem, What do we got, Squeeze?
We got a legal answer.
Legal solution.
Oh.
Question, answer, problem, solution. There we
Got you. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
One second. Rewind. There's a big important question that we have not asked, Adam.
I was getting to it, but you know what? I'm going to give you the honors, big man. What do you got to ask Squeeze right now?
Squeeze, are you down with PPID?
Come on. Nelson, you know me. I'm down with PPID. Nelson really gets a kick out of that. All right. Hey, so listen up, folks. Let's get serious right now. I need 50 shares. Only 50. So we just need 50 people to share what it is that they're watching. That would definitely please one man, I'm sure, on this panel. All right? One man. He likes the ratings, and that's the general. And I'm going to him right now. General Allenkaye, Esquire, the attorney, one of the attorneys at PPID, you know, and of course, Mr. MP, I love the background that you got going there, man. Look very festive, more appropriate than all of us, you know, great tree in the background there.
Well, I think tonight is tonight the last night of Hanukkah, or did it just pass?
Didn't pass yet.
I think it's the last night.
Couple more nights.
You know, Conrad, I thought you were Jewish.
I am.
And you don't keep track of Hanukkah?
Like I said, I mean, it's Hanukkah right now. We light the candle every night.
Okay.
As a matter of fact.
Shots fired.
How many, what is it, the fifth night or the fourth night?
Six.
No, it's more than that. It's got to be 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think it's 6.
And I just six night.
You guys really, really, really are into your religion, man.
Yeah.
Well, my wife, who is not Jewish, she does the menorah for Hanukkah, and me, who I am Jewish, I do the tree.
Hey, if that doesn't sound like a fair compromise, I don't know what is.
Is that why you're sitting in front of the tree, to just kind of show it off?
Well, you know, being COVID times in this pandemic, you don't have a lot of visitors for the holidays. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to. So really nobody has seen this tree other than my wife and me, and
Thousands of other people
and
watching.
virtually. And now the tens of thousands of people that are listening and watching our show.
Never thought about it that way. I don't have a tree. But let's get into immigration. Alan, how you doing? You've been awfully quiet. Can you bring us up to speed as far as what's going on with immigration? Any news, you know, as people start sharing? And I'm going to share in a few groups myself while you're doing that.
Okay, so let me give everybody some updates on what's going on. Let's first of all talk about the immigration courts. The immigration courts now have a 1.3 million backlog cases.
Whoa.
And non-detained hearings are off until January 1st, 2021. So if you have a removal proceeding scheduled, there's no date, you're not detained, you're not going to hear anything about your removal case until at least January 1st, 2021. Okay, let's talk about the snow. The New York Asylum office is going to be closed Thursday. All interviews scheduled for asylum cases will take place on January 6th. The New York CIS office closed Wednesday at 11:30. Cases that you had at this New York CIS office for today will be rescheduled for Monday, January 25th. Cases that were scheduled for December 17th, tomorrow, will be rescheduled for Tuesday, January 26th. So that's kind of an update on what's going on with USCIS and what's going on with the immigration courts. Nelson will be happy to talk to you about immigration courts because he spends a lot of time there, and we'll be happy to take questions about immigration courts. Next, let's talk about naturalization, one of my favorite topics. And we've been talking about the new naturalization questions, which many people think were put in because Trump is trying to discourage people who are permanent residents from becoming US citizens. And so for any applications that were filed December 1st for naturalization and afterwards, you're going to have to answer new questions There are 128 questions. There were 100. And the previous 100 questions were redone and made more difficult. And there are 28 new questions. So if you filed before December 1st, great, good for you. You'll be doing the old test, which you had to answer. There were 100 questions and you had to get 6 out of 10. If you filed after December 1st or later, you have to do the new test, and the new test, much harder, reworked, 128 questions. You have to get 12 correct. We are hoping that President Biden will scrap this new test and go back to the old test, and people think that's going to happen. It's a question of how fast he's going to do it. One more thing, if you file for naturalization for permanent residents who are 65 years or older and have had green cards for 20 years or more, there you can get a special test where they'll ask you, there'll be 20 questions, not 100, not 128, and you have to get 6 out of 10 correct on the simplified test. So people who are over 65 and have been a green card holder for 20 years or more, get in touch with us and we'd be happy to help you to pass the simplified test, and we'll be happy to help you to pass the more complicated test. Okay.
You know, I just want to chime in for a second, if I can. You know, citizenship. A lot of people don't know this, but if you do have some sort of disability, if you have a learning disability, a processing delay, or, you know, if you are showing early signs of dementia or Alzheimer's, there is a form that your doctor can complete that would basically allow you to move forward with the citizenship application without actually taking the test, the civics exam, and having to pass that test. It's important to mention that because, again, a lot of people struggle with citizenship for, you know, obviously reasons that are outside of their control. Immigration is, you know, obviously aware of this. There is a form that your doctor has to complete and should be filed with your citizenship application, basically requesting an accommodation. We have been successful in obviously helping people go forward through this process using and providing this form. But it's important I mention that because I was at immigration recently and someone showed up with his mother and basically said, oh, my mother, you know, has a disability. And the officer basically said, well, she should have said that at the time she filed her application and not on the day of her interview. So that's important, and that's just information I wanted to get out there.
It's very interesting.
Probably going to be not just any doctor, it'll probably be a specialist, and it's a form that takes some time to fill out. And so that would normally go in with your citizenship application. And, you know, we can talk to you about that if you have questions about passing because you have mental problems that make it difficult for you to take the test. Get in touch with us. We'll help you with that.
You know, and it's really interesting just to add to this. I have seen immigration come back and basically, I kid you not, this is a true story. Well, if the person suffers from some sort of learning disability or processing delay, how do they work? I mean, that sounds almost asinine, right?
Or they can't bus tables, or
yeah, that's right. You know, so
in a building, or
so basically, they issue what's called a request for evidence, and they want an explanation on how, you know, if you are learning disabled, you know, how do you do janitorial work? How do you do maintenance? Which is, again, really moronic, but it's something immigration does.
yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Very
about
sad.
DACA. There have been important court decision by Judge Nicholas Garifas liberalizing the DACA requirements. And so as of Monday, December 7th, and until further notice, USCIS is accepting new DACA applications. Before the judge's decision, they were not accepting new applications, only old applications need to renew. So if you qualify for DACA, you didn't file before, find a lawyer, we'll be happy to help you. And to qualify for DACA, you have to meet the following criteria. 1, born on or after June 15th, 1981. 2, came to the United States before the age of 16. 3, you were in the United States on June 15, 2012, and you're still here. You had no proper immigration status as of June 15, 2012. You're a high school graduate, you're enrolled in high school, you have a GED, you enrolled in a GED program, or you've been honorably discharged from the military, and no significant criminal record. In addition, USCIS is now accepting travel permit applications for people who already have DACA. They weren't doing it before, but this is because of the judge's decision. You can get a travel document. This can be very useful because of some of the DACA recipients, some of our clients haven't seen their family at home since they were little kids. And so it is possible now to get a travel permit. It's called a parole. If you're a DACA person, and be able to go home and visit your parents and come back and not lose your DACA status. So also, previous DACA, they were giving you a 1-year permit. Now they're giving you 2-year permits to work. So there's been a lot of liberalization on the DACA thing. Trump was trying to kind of close it down. There's a court decision pending in Texas, which might hurt DACA, but we'll talk to you more about that when that happens. Finally, the new incoming head of the Department of Homeland Security, Ali Mayorkas, has to be confirmed by the Senate. Mayorkas was born in Cuba. He'd be the first immigrant and the first Hispanic to lead the Department of Homeland Security. Department of Homeland Security oversees U.S. Customs and ICE, U.S. CBP, ICE, CBP, and USCIS. Now, Mayorkas has said we have to bring an immediate end to the inhumane, and unjust treatment of immigrants. He would be the first immigrant and the first Hispanic to lead DHS. And the interesting thing with Mayorkas is this is somebody who went through the immigration process himself. And so he knows what it's like. I met him, and he's a very, very sharp guy. And so we're really expecting a lot of nice things from Ali Mayorkas when he becomes the official head of the Department of Homeland Security.
Hey, Alan, have you heard anything in terms of any objections from the Senate that is going to have to agree to confirm him? Have there been any negative opinions espoused by the side?
There was something which might come up while Mayorkas was a private citizen, or while he was working for CIS. There was some alleged scandal about trying to push some EB-5 cases. So that could come back and haunt him, but it's got to be discussed by the Senate. So we're hoping that the Senate will approve Mayorkas, because if they don't, Biden is just going to make him acting, which Trump did for a lot of his other people. So he's going to be anyway.
Well, we don't know that for certain. I know we've on this show been critical of Trump's use of quote unquote acting cabinet secretaries, which is not really proper. It's not. I don't believe it's in accordance with the Constitution. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as say it's unconstitutional, but I don't think it's at all what the framers intended. But regardless, the reason I bring it up is because I was listening to Fox News this morning, as I do sometimes, and they were, of course, talking about immigration, and they had some woman on who was totally unbiased. As they said it, she didn't have any dog in the race, right? But then they put her on, and she just started railing about everything that Biden is proposing to do. And one of the things that came up, of course, was immigration, and how there are going to be so many changes into the country now because Biden is going to let everybody in, and it's going to be open borders. And there's already, right? We haven't heard this in a while. There's already a caravan forming at the border, right? That are just waiting for Biden to be inaugurated, so that they could just storm across the border. This is what they're already saying on Fox News. He's not even president yet, and already they're starting with the caravans and the open borders nonsense.
On the other hand, let me give you a couple of quotes from Ali Mayorkas, who says Today, our immigration system is badly broken, and we all know it. And he also has said we must bring an immediate end to the inhumane and unjust treatment of immigrants.
Well, let me interrupt you there. In fact, they mentioned about the policy that the Trump administration created to keep asylum applicants out of the United States, right? That they have to stay in Mexico before they can come here. And of course, on this show, they were saying what a wonderful program it was and how it's curtailed illegal immigration and it's done all of these wonderful things. And these people can still apply for asylum. They just can't come in to the United States until they've actually been approved for asylum. What do you think about that, Nelson?
I think it's ridiculous. You know, look, I don't want to get into politics.
Well, just talk about the program then.
Well, no, I think the program is ridiculous. So basically, yes, people have to wait outside of the United States before their cases can go before an officer to determine whether or not there is a credible or reasonable fear, depending on their situation, and whether or not they could present their case.
Right.
To,
and where are they waiting?
In Mexico.
Yeah. In what type of places in Mexico?
Yeah, in Ciudad Juarez. You know, obviously in very dangerous places. You know, but it's, again, I mean, you're watching Fox News. You know, what I find interesting, by the way, is I was watching a program which was talking about President Obama, which feels so long ago. These were the same arguments they were making back then. He's a socialist. He's a socialist. It's a death panel. They're gonna, you know, socialism. And, you know, it's just, you know, also there was Henry Gates, I believe, that Harvard professor arrested by a police officer outside of his home, you know, and this goes back to the whole, you know, police profiling situation, which is still prevalent today, you know, obviously years later. So I'm not sure, you know, how much we've advanced or how much we've progressed. You know, and
but getting back to this particular asylum policy, you know, the Trump administration created this policy as a way to dissuade people from coming here. I mean, we all know how they've taken a sledgehammer to the asylum process in general, but here is a way, well, we're not going to, you know, catch and release. We have to end catch and release because, as they say, people would come here, they would go before a judge and they'd just be released, right? And then they would have a hearing and they'd never show up for the hearing. That's the stock line that you heard. And of course, they mentioned that this morning, that we're going to bring back catch and release and they're going to let these people out and maybe they'll show up for their hearing. And of course, with a wink, this implying that they're never going to show up for the hearing, which of course is nonsense because 95% of these people show up for their hearings. But then they're talking about how wonderful this asylum program is because the people still get the chance to apply for asylum. They just can't come to the United States. Of course, don't mention that they're living in these, while they're waiting for their cases to be called months later, they're living in these refugee camps, basically, and they're being preyed upon by God knows what kind of criminals there and kidnapping and sexual assault and all kinds of other stuff. Wow. This is what these people, these refugees, are experiencing while they're waiting in Mexico for their chance for their asylum case to be heard. And these are people generally, they're applying for asylum, they're fleeing from persecution, or they're fleeing from gangs in their countries, and so on and so forth. So they're fleeing those things, and here they are now sitting in these squalid camps, being preyed upon by criminals, by predators, while they wait for the hearings to come up. They didn't mention any of this stuff on the show I was listening to this morning. They were just saying what a great program it was and how it ended catch and release, and it reduced illegal immigration to this country. And Trump is just wonderful for doing it.
Did they say anything about the El Salvador situation?
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. Actually, Trump is trying to come to an agreement with El Salvador to do the same thing, where basically people have to wait in El Salvador before they're given the chance to present their asylum claim to a USCIS officer. And I think this has been in the news lately as well. You know, obviously this administration is just trying to do as much as they can in the short amount of time that they have before they leave office, you know, and, you know, again.
But Nelson, let me play devil's advocate here. What's wrong with that? I mean, why not? You know, these people, They're not citizens. They don't have green cards. Why should we let them into the United States when they're applying for asylum and tell them, right, you're coming from El Salvador and you're fleeing gang violence in El Salvador. Why can't you stay in El Salvador until you get your refugee status?
You know, again, these people are obviously fleeing their country for a reason. You know, look, just very quickly, I represent a lady who told me she fled El Salvador because of the violence, because of the police corruption. She left her 12-year-old daughter with a friend. She later found out that her daughter was being pimped out by her friend, right? The daughter eventually meets a John, hooks up with the John, and the mother becomes friends with the John because that's the only way she would have communication with her daughter. This woman is in tears when she's telling me the story. This is what's happening in these countries. You know, law enforcement is not the way it is in the United States. Law enforcement turns a blind eye in these countries. Most of law enforcement is also corrupt.
Let me give you another simple analogy. All right. Let's say you have a abusive spousal situation, right? You have a husband and wife, and the husband is beating on his wife. So the cops, just to make it analogous to what we're discussing, the cops, the wife, the battered spouse goes to the police and says, my husband's going to kill me. You know, I can't stay with him. And what the Trump administration would say, you know what, just stay there. Well, your case is coming up soon. Just stay there. All right. And eventually we'll get you out of there. That's basically the same thing that they're saying to these intended refugees. Stay there. Stay in the place where your life is being threatened, where your kids are being kidnapped, where your kids are being forced to enter gangs or what have you.
Where right? You're being beaten.
Eventually we'll get around to your case. It's exactly the same thing.
Take a couple of more beatdowns. Just hang in there.
That's exactly
you have to change the channel. Stop watching Fox.
Look, you always want to know. You always want to know what the other side is thinking, right? Keep your friends close. Keep your enemies closer, right?
There you go. There you go. All right. So let's give Adam a word here. By the way, folks, solid information from the immigration team right here on Cruising with a Case Handler, showing personal injury and immigration, brought to you by the law firm of Pollack, Isaac, and DeSico. We refer to them as PPID here in New York City. All right. Adam, you want to get a word in there?
Listen, I'm enjoying this conversation. I always enjoy these evening shows because in the mornings we do these shows, we're all amped up. We want to get our airtime in. We want to let people know what we do. But in the evenings, I think, it shows our passion. You know, Conrad, Nelson, Allen, they're all very passionate about what they do. I'm very passionate what I do. Squeeze, I know you're passionate about what you do. You wouldn't be broadcasting for, was it almost 1996, right? I mean, you wouldn't be doing it for so long if you weren't passionate about putting quality information out to, your community, to your family, to your brethren. And I just love hearing it. These are good lawyers. These are not only they're good lawyers, they're good guys. I mean, Nelson, Conrad, Allen, everybody can get a sense of how we are as people.
Let me jump in, Adam. I remember the first time you told me that these guys are good guys. Yeah. Okay. And, it's when that situation went down with you and you know who. And you told me that you're on the other side now. Okay. And you said, these guys I'm with, Squeeze, they're nothing like the guys that I was with before. They are truly genuine, good guys. And I remember the words you used. You did use the phrase good guys. You said honest and very straightforward. And the part that really resonated with me was the part where you said they will not take your money if they know that they cannot help you.
I mean, listen, we have a no refund policy at the firm, which sounds harsh, but we don't give refunds because we don't need to give refunds because we're sure as hell not taking your case unless we can deliver. We hear all the time people say, oh, I went to this lawyer, this is immigration, personal injury, we're on contingency fees, so there's no upfront money. Right. But with immigration cases, we get calls all the time, this lawyer took my money. It always starts with this lawyer took my money and said this. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't happen at our firm because we're not taking your case. Unfortunately for you, ladies and gentlemen, there are some cases that just can't be won. I don't care who your lawyer is. You can have Allenkaye, Conrad, and Nelson combined in one dream.
You can't be helped.
It just can't be helped. Just the law is not on your side. But if we can help you, we will help you. And if we can't help you, we can't help you. But rest assured, if we can help you, we're going to help you like family.
And I've seen both sides because where Nelson is concerned. Nelson said, "Squeeze, your friend is effed, man. Your friend is screwed." All right, straight up, just like that, you know. And then he said, "Squeeze, this other friend, yes, we can help. They just need to hire the firm." You know, both cases on point, straight to the point. No beat around the bush, kiss around the edges. They're straight to the point, and I like that.
I'll be like, you know, say this somebody will come in. Oh, you talk to Conrad. He's the best. You know, Conrad's the best. Nelson's the best. Alan's the best. They'll get you straight. And then the guy will call me like, yeah, your guys said they can't help me. And I'm like, how the hell can that happen? How can that? But just sometimes the law is not on your side. It's just not. But changes are coming. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching right now, 2021 is right around the corner. You want to change your family? You want to change the destiny of your DNA and the legacy of you here in the United States? You got to give us a call. If you don't, God bless you. But if you do have any problems whatsoever, even if you think you have a case, give us a call. What you got nothing to lose. Just call the number right here. 844-774-3529. 844 PPID law.
That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude, I got to squeeze one quick question in here. Okay, gentlemen. All right, on immigration. This one is, it says here, our K-1 visa interview was canceled because the embassy is closed. I'm pregnant and waiting in my country with my fiance for the embassy to open. Can we request emergency interview? I can't fly back to the USA after 32 weeks.
Yes, you can request an emergency interview. I mean, even if it's closed, there are exceptions for humanitarian considerations. So it's possible to request an emergency interview. If you can't succeed in doing that, we can try to do that for you.
Okay. Here's one for you, Conrad. Did I break continuous residence if I stayed out of the country more than 6 months, a little less than a year, almost a year? My flight back to the U.S. kept getting canceled due to pandemic. Is there no way I can prove to the USCIS that I did not abandon my residence for naturalization purposes?
Well, after you're out of the country for more than 6 months, you have to prove to the Immigration Service when you return with CBP, when you come back to the country, that you didn't intend to abandon your residence. And basically, you would just show you have contacts here, you have a job waiting for you, you have a house here, renting an apartment, whatever. But the burden is on you to show that you did not abandon your residence. Now, typically, you're not going to lose your green card if you've only been out 7 months. Right? You know, there are other factors that come into play. How long have you had your green card, and how much time have you spent out of the country? If you've had your green card for 10 years, and every year you spend 8 months out of the country, that could be a problem. All right, but if you had your green card for 10 years and 3 years, all right, 1 year, 8 years ago you spent 6 months out, 5 years ago you spent 7 months out, and last year you spent eight or 9 months out for whatever reason you couldn't get back in. I mean, that is more of a borderline situation. I think you wouldn't be in trouble there. They look at all the factors involved. If you stay out on for more than a year continuously, that breaks the chain. But even in that situation right now, believe it or not, the Immigration Service, CBP, are understanding to an extent as to why you might have been out for 12 or 13 or 14 months, especially given the pandemic situation. You might not have been able to come back. You might have been sick yourself. Typically, in that situation, the government has been more understanding than usual.
I would be remiss. Thank you.
There you go.
Good word.
If I did not tell everyone that what they should have actually done is call a PPID and have them file that extension for them prior to them leaving. Right? I mean, you guys could have done that.
Well, the thing, when you have a green card, there is no real extension. I mean, the law is
well, if you're going to be out of the country for a period of time.
The situation is, if you have a green card, you're a permanent resident of the United States, that means you live in the U.S. That means you spend more time in the U.S. than you don't. So at least 6 months every year you're in the country, if not more. Now, if you want to stay out for more than a year at a time, you can apply for what's called a reentry permit.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's not exactly an extension, wrong choice of words. Reentry permit is a way to stay out of the country for more than a year, for up to 2 years. And if you want to stay out beyond the 2 years, you come back, you apply for another reentry permit, you get another 2 years. You have to be in the U.S. to do it, though. Alan, you were going to say something. I know you.
Wait, I want to jump in actually, because her question actually applies to citizenship.
Yes.
And continuous residence of 6 months or more can break the continuous residence requirement. Now, we are in the middle of a pandemic, okay? Obviously, embassies were shut down, airports were shut down. They weren't allowing people to re-enter the United States. It will be her burden, right? Because there is a presumption if you're outside for more than 6 months or more, you've broken continuous residence. But now she has to demonstrate otherwise.
The burden is on her to show otherwise.
Correct.
And if she can show, as I said, if she can show that she has family here, that she has a job waiting for her here, that there was a good reason why she had to stay out for more than 6 months, she should be able to overcome that burden. That shouldn't be an issue. If it's a more dicey situation, maybe she doesn't have a job here. Maybe she really didn't intend to come back, and the last minute she said, you know what, I am going to come back. Then she needs legal help, and she needs to call Nelson Madrid.
This will come up in two different places. It will come up when she's coming back and talking to CBP at the airport, but it can also come up when she applies for citizenship.
More likely there, yeah.
And they're going to ask her where you were out more than 6 months. What was the reason? But if you're out more than 1 year, it breaks the counting for citizenship. So then you're going to have to start over again, and a couple more years until you can file for citizenship again. So you never want to stay out more than a year, if possible, because it'll break the counting. More than 6 months, less than a year, better. There you can talk to CBP at the airport, and they've been very tolerant about that now because of COVID and everything.
And just to add to that, look, this is one of the reasons I think you should hire a lawyer, okay? I don't want it to sound like a sales pitch, but good luck trying to convince or explain the law to an immigration officer on your own. They will quickly shut you down, okay? He is an immigration officer. You are not a lawyer. You do not know the law. He knows everything, and that's just what it is. When you have a lawyer, you have someone there that can advocate for you. Obviously, that person is a lawyer, while the immigration officer is not. And if there's an issue, your attorney should ask to speak to a supervisor and address the issue at the moment, not go home and hope and have your fingers crossed that the officer is going to do the right thing here.
And that's what we've done in these cases where somebody might have a problem coming in. We will, if we're retained, we will call CBP. We will talk to the people at the airport and say, I have a client who's coming in a day, in a week, in a month on this flight or whatever. We want to explain the case to you. And they will frequently say, okay, that's all right. Call us when your client comes in. We think that will be okay. So we get an opinion in advance by calling the airport people before you even land.
Conrad, and we did that in the middle of the pandemic.
Did.
We did that we had a client, Squeeze, who hired another lawyer. Right. Who hired another lawyer, and the other lawyer couldn't make it happen.
Right.
And they hired us, and we got him back into the United States.
Right. That was
I
Alan.
remember that.
I remember the gentleman was from Greece.
It was a team effort.
Yeah,
Yes.
I remember that. I remember that conversation.
Yep.
You guys
Over the
did share
summer.
some of the, yes, over the
Over the
summer, you
summer.
guys did do that. Hey, well, gentlemen, listen, thank you all so much for taking time out of your dinner, okay, to join us right here on this live session. It shows commitment, it shows loyalty to helping out a community, or communities, I should say. I do appreciate you, Allenkaye, Esquire, the General. Do appreciate you, Conrad Pollack, Esquire, the Maestro. Do appreciate you, Nelson Madrid, the Maverick, of course, Esquire. Thank you all so much for being here on Cruising with the Case Handler show on personal injury and immigration tomorrow morning, 9:30. Don't want to hear any excuses. No one can complain about getting into work or getting to the show because they got to shovel or drive, because we are going to be Zooming. All right. So 9:30 a.m. I'll catch up with you, gentlemen. Great show as usual. I do appreciate you. And once again, thank you so much. Priors also not guarantee similar outcome. And of course, it's brought to you by the law firm Pollack, Isaac, and DeSico. Make sure you call them at 844-774-3529. Thank you. Have yourself an amazing dinner, gentlemen. And we'll catch up tomorrow, listeners and viewers.